dive into like how you can actually tangibly make $1,000.
If I could say it in like one sentence, it would be
All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. We have Zane here, and we're going to be just talking about his story, what he's built. And I'm really excited to have you on, Zane, because you're young. You are doing a few different things. And I'm just excited for people to hear your perspective on what it takes to actually build a business, make the connections, and just your mindset on entrepreneurship right now. Because I think it's super like romanticized in our generation, and there's not a lot of people talking about what it really takes and like what the components are of like building a successful business. So obviously like you're just getting started, but you've done some really cool things. So what's sort of like your background and like tell us a little bit about yourself?
cool. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, excited for this. But yeah, as for my background, I guess where to start. So I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, which is like across from Detroit, Michigan. So I'm Canadian. Like kind of in high school, got like my first, I guess, taste of like entrepreneurship. I like had my mom drive me around to a bunch of real estate offices to try to sell like drone camera work footage, and no one called me back. So it was like a quick fail. I was like, oh man, this is tough. So the part of it being romanticized is very true. Um, but I can speak to it a bit later, but I think it just kind of speaks to this one thing I like called bias towards action, just like going out and doing it. Started a few other businesses that were like decent, like cleaned boats one summer. Um, and then yeah, I ended up going like kind of really digging into school, like grind set kind of thing, and went to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, which was really fun. Met a lot of cool people, and obviously the football was awesome. And then I did an internship there, which I don't know if that's relevant. And then post grad went to Uber in Toronto to I guess sell Uber Eats essentially. And then 3 months in, I unfortunately quit. I really liked that job and the people, but I was working on a side project that turned into a business, which I'm kind of still working on now. But yeah, I guess today more actually back to like a business role rather than entrepreneurship. But yeah, I hope that explains it well.
Yeah, that's cool. So you were working for like the Uber corporation, not delivering Uber.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's a
wanted to
cool
clarify that.
office and free lunch, which is
Yeah.
dope.
Oh, gee. That's really nice. Was it
Yeah.
like scary taking that jump, like quitting your job and like going into business full time?
It was scary, but like I felt like I like took the right steps to do it, and I knew I had to do it at some point. So again, I was kind of like just excited more than scared. uh,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I like I said, I did make a ton of mistakes, but like in that sequence I made like the right decisions.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think what you said, like just taking action is the biggest way to learn something because there's so much like theory and like all this advice that you can find in mindset online, but it's like until you actually go and apply that and like get your hands dirty, figure out what it is that you enjoy, what you want to do, like you're just like theorizing. It's not actually because I studied business and that's what I felt like it was. It was a lot of like
Yeah.
teaching like this is how it would work in a perfect scenario, but like my professors weren't actually entrepreneurs. So then I remember I was in college for 2 years and I dropped out. And then as soon as I like actually started my business, I was like, oh my gosh, I've learned more in like the last 2 months than I did in all the like years of college.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it's definitely just like you got to take action. But what's sort of like where you're at right now?
Yeah, so ended up like kind of putting my startup or I guess business on the side because that was actually a tougher decision. Just because I don't know, when you do these things, you actually like I found myself like learning so much and other opportunities arose that are a bit more, I guess lucrative is the right word, or more interesting to me, the right people to be around, like and less risky at this point in my life. Um, so yeah, doing like operations for a few companies. I can't like speak too much about it, but yeah, just to kind of help. I mean, when you do a startup, you're kind of doing all the roles, and I'm kind of doing that again in like these smaller companies, kind of helping them. So it's fun.
Yeah. So you're like getting paid to learn as opposed to like having to pay to learn in your own company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's like also like a good nugget for a lot of people because like it's such like a great way to learn a skill set, like whether it's sales or whether it's leadership or operations. Like if you can go and find a company, especially a startup that's just like building the foundation of their company, that like is that's you getting paid to learn. It's the best place to learn. And you can work a job for 6 months, you can work a job for 6 years, but like that's an environment as opposed to college, as opposed to actually like just working your business. You're actually getting paid to learn the same skills that you're going to need to be successful in business anyway.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I'm like very bullish on joining an early company. Doesn't even have to be like a startup tech vibe. Like it can be like just any early company and like trying to help it grow. Like taking
Yeah.
on an operator role. That's what I do. And it's been like it's so rewarding. I mean, it's like you can make a lot of impact. Like I think one of our teams is like 5 people on the high side, like because there's some fractional people. It's like
Mhm.
you can make a lot of
Yeah.
impact and yeah, so it's kind of the same experience,
Yeah.
but risky.
Yeah, you're getting to see like the inside perspective of like how it all comes together. Like I worked 3 jobs before like going into business, and like they were all in different industries. They were all kind of like a different angle, but I was doing the same type of thing. I was doing like sales and account managing, and it was just like such a cool perspective because I wasn't risking my own money, but I still had to go out and like pull together all the different like in a startup you're kind of wearing like every hat because like you said, like there's not a lot of people, so you're having to do all these roles, and then as it grows, like more and more outsourcing takes place. But yeah, no, I think that's like that's something I always recommend to people my age because everyone wants to like go and start a business and like risk it all, and that's great. And if you have a good idea, like by all means, that's a great risk to take because you'll learn either way. But if you can work a job, do that and learn on someone else's dime. But yeah, was there like when you were starting your business, what was it like? Were you like working alone? Were you working on a team? Did you have a partner?
Yeah, so my journey started alone, and then kind of had some people, I guess, helping me here and there on certain things. Like for example, one of my friends, I was like, "Hey, do you want to help sell some of the stuff we were selling?" And just on commission. So like some of those things. But then I ended up doing a startup accelerator in Toronto called Antler. Um, Antler Canada. They have like a bunch around the world, and they help you find a co-founder. So I found an amazing co-founder there. His name is Arvin. I still catch up with Arvin. Arvin's a great guy, and yeah, so Antlers was super helpful there. Couldn't do it
Yeah.
without that.
So do they help with like funding also, or is it just like connecting people?
Yeah, you can pitch to them. We didn't end up pitching because we made some changes in the middle, like right when you're supposed to pitch, which was our bad. But yeah, like standard check size, um, I think it's like 150K for
Wow. Yeah,
10%. Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, so like talk about like those pivots and stuff that you made because I know we spoke a little bit before the call of, just like looking at the market and looking at what's working and what isn't and like how to kind of determine when to pivot.
Yeah, so I'll actually tell you, I think this is a good story. So what the company was a marketplace for billboards because when I went to buy a billboard, it was really hard. There's just a lot of noise. Like there's like 10 different billboard websites. There's not like one place. Well, I guess there are now I found out there are some that exist.
Mhm.
Pretty good services. But essentially it's hard to buy a billboard. And when I went through Antler, someone asked me a good question. They said, Zane, how many more billboards are there going to be in the next year? Or how many more like content creators are there going to be in the next year? It's like, oh, like that's rapidly rising versus billboards. So we pivoted. We're like, oh yeah, let's do content creators. Like probably get a hold of them easier too. They're not like these giant businesses that are hard to integrate with. Um, but I think the mistake we made, other people have solved this, but I don't know if ours was the best fit, but content creators are, like I just said, aren't really businesses. Like they're people. So they're almost slightly more difficult to like work with because they don't have like budgets and they're not really expecting meetings. I mean, there's some people that take it seriously, but not saying people don't take it seriously, but just it's a different mindset, right? So billboards actually think it was a better customer in the end or a better use case for us. Um,
Hmm.
and we're actually working right now with a billboard company again to so this is another pivot we made. So we pivoted back to billboards. We're like not a marketplace just because I don't know. They're kind of like such a good question. Anyways, a billboard company had a good suggestion to, white label or just improve their, they have all the billboards. Why get more from other people? Why not just try to create something on their site that they can use? They already have the traffic. And yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense. So
That's cool. So now
yeah.
you're working like, specifically with that company?
Yeah, like yeah. So I kind of like I said, I joined I like kind of just pivoted my career. So I don't really have as much time for it anymore. But yeah, so I was like, oh, I can work with one company and like kind of still try that
Yeah.
out. And I'm still like very bullish on the idea, but
Yeah. No,
time
that's super cool.
time needs to be spent in other places.
Yeah. And also it's like cool that you like tested the waters with like content also, because now you're never gonna look back and be like, well, I wonder like what if you have a
True,
better idea.
yeah. No
Yeah.
regrets yet. I made mistakes a ton. Like I think a big mistake to avoid is like I think I went to two conferences, but like it was just like not worth my time. Like
Mm.
um there's a good YouTube video that I think everyone should watch if they're considering going into getting a job actually, which is
Okay.
um
Yep.
I can link. I don't know if you can like add a link, but
Yeah, absolutely.
whenever I would have someone work with me, I'd make them watch the video. I probably annoyed a lot of people doing that, but it's like a 13-minute video. I think everyone should watch.
Oh yeah, that's
Speaks to
short.
that a little more.
What's it called?
It's called How to Build a Startup by Sam Altman, the OpenAI
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
video
No,
ever.
there's a
I love
lot
it
of
so
like I feel
much.
like there should be like a list. Well, there's probably a million lists of everyone's different opinion on like what like video and book combination you should read before entering the workforce or before starting a business. Like it's just there's so many things not taught in school that are absolutely essential.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't know if you've ever read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People.
You know what? I'm not a book guy at all, but I've read that.
No?
I've read that.
You have read that. Okay,
I
cool. I think that
have.
should be required reading.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. My friend read that too before she went to sales, so
Mhm.
that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good for I mean, it's great for sales. It's good for literally like anything. I feel like even just like people that want to like have a successful relationship or have like a like good job, like it's just it's like everything at any aspect of life where you're involved with people and you have to maintain good relationships, which is just about every aspect of life. It's gonna help you. So
Yeah, no,
there's
it's a great book. Yeah.
but yeah, no, I think like what are some things I guess that when you were first starting your business you would have told yourself, or some things that you've learned along the way that you feel like would have been really helpful to know getting started?
Uh, very like I'm trying to keep it specific. When a customer that's like, I guess, has a lot of experience in doing something, how do I phrase this? Sometimes customers will tell you things and you shouldn't like listen to them. But sometimes if it's like a big customer or a big potential customer, like listen to them, they probably know what they're talking about. Um, don't get like so focused on your like one solution if it's like kind of a complicated thing, but
Mhm.
if someone has an idea and you can, if it helps you get to that goal, you should do it. Like there's a time we essentially even turned down a like one of our advisors, I guess I had one advisor, she's pretty awesome. Her name's Alex Panusis, got us a meeting with Spotify and we were gonna help them. I don't even know what it was. I kind of forget. Um, like it's just complicated and it doesn't matter. But essentially, we thought it was way off of what our end mission was, and we didn't end up doing it. And so I think when you get those big meetings and like if it kind of steers you off the path, like try it out. That's like my biggest
Yeah.
piece of advice.
Yeah. I heard like this great quote that reminded me of it. And it was basically just like open every door that's presented to you, and the doors that close like are meant to be closed, but like at least go and open every door and see where it leads. So that
Right.
kind of reminded me of that. Because there's like two schools of thought. There's like these seasoned entrepreneurs that are like 20 years into their career that are like, no, you have to do one thing, you have to be all in on whatever it is you're doing.
Mhm.
And then I think there's the people that are a little bit more like logical, and they're like, well, in order to find your one thing, you actually have to try everything first. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of confusing as like a new entrepreneur to be like, well, do I like just go all in on this one idea or do I test other ideas too?
Yeah. I mean, I know I was about to say, like, because I was just thinking about my answer and I was like, I don't know if that's actually like great advice for everyone. Like, I think it's very, like, only for some people that advice works. I don't know
Yeah.
who exactly, I think you spoke to that well. So
Yeah. Well,
listen
it's like,
to this.
yeah, I think what you're saying is like take everything into consideration. Like
Yeah.
not necessarily follow every piece of advice that you get, but like if it's someone that has success and has experience in that market or in like a market that's like in tangent to yours, then consider it. You know,
Yeah, if
like
you're like
it,
young and not like insanely blowing up and creating like the next billion-dollar thing, like try it. That's I think that's
right. Yeah.
the
Yeah,
rule of thumb, maybe.
right? 'Cause there's so many things. I feel like one thing I learned, like when I was 19, I was like introduced to a bunch of entrepreneurs who were just like they were in like real estate, they were in e-commerce, they were just doing a lot of different things. And
Hmm.
I realized there were so many more ways to be successful than like I ever thought growing up. Because like growing up, I was like, you got to go to college, you got to work your way up the
Yeah.
corporate ladder. That's like the only route. And then I met these people, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's like a million different ways to be
Oh
successful.
yeah. Yeah, no,
And
yeah, sorry, I
yeah,
didn't cut you off. Go ahead.
no, yeah, that I mean that was pretty much the point is just like explore things because there's probably something out there that's going to be an ideal fit for you, but you're not going to know if you just put yourself in this box.
I agree. Yeah, and I'll talk to this more later, but yeah, I've like so many ideas that I wish I could try out. Like there's so many good opportunities to go do
Yeah.
stuff. So uh,
Yeah. No,
I'll share the
especially
ideas
right
at the
now.
end.
Yeah, one question I had was about like the content creators. Were you working with like all different kinds of content creators or was it like there was a niche within it?
We wanted to work with people who had at least 100 brands reach out to them a year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So people that
because
were making money.
yeah, not even like yeah, I guess making money, sure, but it was more our tool helped, brand DMs. How do you
Mhm.
get to, how do you bridge that gap from DM basically to payment and the ad going out and all that stuff? There's actually another company doing it really well called Passion Fruit. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, that's who we're working with. It
Yeah.
wouldn't work if there's no brands DMing, basically.
Right, right. Yeah, you need to have traffic. And that's
Yeah.
also like I mean, I don't have a ton of experience with content, but I know like I have a few friends who have over 100,000 followers and it's like so crazy trying to like because they'll get like a brand deal or something, but then it'll take like 6 months or 9 months or a year to actually get paid for it.
Yeah, tell them they should download Old Blimp
Passion
or
fruit.
Passion Fruit.
Okay. That is an interesting name. What was the name of your company, by the way?
Blimp with a Y.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like that better because it's easier to remember.
Well, Blimp with an I was like 500,000 for the domain. So I did
Jeez.
not have the money. And yeah.
Domains are crazy. Those
Yeah.
people like they were smart when they invested in those domains.
Right.
Yeah. What was like the inspiration behind that?
In my internship, my VP marketing said, Zane, I want to fly a blimp over the convention center with our logo on it. I was like, that's genius. I'm gonna go find a blimp. And I couldn't find one. So I created a website to not find blimps, but find cool marketing avenues.
That's awesome. That's
Yep.
cool. That is that like those like gigantic, I don't even know what you
Yeah, like
call
the Hindenburg or whatever,
it.
maybe. Or
Yeah.
did I just say a Breaking Bad thing? No, that's Heisenberg, but
I don't even know. I haven't seen that movie. But those things look weird. They're like almost look like these like massive inflated. Yeah.
yeah, Sergey Brin is a big blimp guy.
Okay.
He's got one of the biggest blimps in the world, the co-founder of Google.
Oh wow. Where does he
Yeah.
fly?
San Francisco.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's
Okay, cool.
a nerdy blimp fact of the day.
Does he like license it out to other people to
No, you
use?
can't. No,
No?
I've weirdly asked him if he could. Well, not him. I've weirdly asked someone if he could. They said no.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder how expensive that is.
Oh, it's like blimps are so much money. They're
Yeah,
insane. Yeah.
that's wild. And it's like a singular purpose to it. But I mean,
Yeah,
I guess that's like every kind of marketing. Like it's interesting now too, like talking about content, like Mr. Beast on one of his videos can get, way more views than the entire Super Bowl.
true.
And it's like it's interesting to see how like those markets are changing and they already have changed.
Hmm.
and like sort of the pivots that a lot of companies are going to be making and like how they spend their marketing money, because I think you can reach the same audience for significantly less if you actually know how to grow a brand and if you know how to market yourself organically. It's like it's really interesting how that's like going to change the whole marketing industry.
Yeah, I so agree. And I think creators also need to catch up on like kind of being a more legit business. Like I feel like they
Mm-hmm.
leave a lot of opportunity on the table. Not all of them, but like
Yeah.
some of the ones. It's like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
you put together
Majority.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. And
They
like,
have, yeah, I also know some people don't want to do deals or get a manager. And also I'm not a content creator, so maybe I'm speaking ignorantly. But
mhm.
yeah,
Well, I think it's like this, like they don't want to like over promote something and burn out their audience. And it's like this
true.
fear of like being inauthentic or getting caught up in like a brand deal that like ruins their image or something like that. And it's yeah, it depends why I guess you started your personal brand will determine like what you're willing to do. But there's also so many ways to monetize without getting like sponsored or without promoting someone else's product. Like just create your own product like Mr. Beast. Like there's so many examples of that of I mean like Emma Chamberlain. It's just there's a lot of ways to do it. And I think most creators just never actually research how to make money. So then they're like, they're barely getting by. Meanwhile, they have like 500,000 followers. So yeah, no, it's interesting. Have you ever like considered building a personal brand?
Um, Not really. I mean, I think it'd be cool, but like I've never like sat down and been like, oh, I really want to do that.
Yeah. Well, then you're
I,
like in the public eye constantly. So it kind of changes like everything you have to do. So
yeah, I think it would take a lot of time. I think people think it's easy. Like I don't think I have time to like grind at that.
no, yeah. I think I spent like 2.5 hours the other night, like editing a 60-second video.
Oh yeah.
And like it was so frustrating. By the end of it, I like messaged one of my friends who's a content creator. I was like, I just spent 2 hours on this 60-second video. And turns out there's like a software that's totally free that could have like done like
Oh yeah.
80% of what I just spent like 2 hours grinding on. But it's like it's expensive though when you like are editing a podcast or like if you want to outsource any of that, like the softwares add up so fast. It's
Oh yeah.
wild.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you want to treat it like a business because it's definitely an investment. If not time, it's an investment of money. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild. But okay, so moving now to sort of like some of the things that young people can do to actually make their first $1,000. There's so many kids that are graduating high school or in college and they want to get their feet wet in entrepreneurship. They want to start to like bring in some money or get a feel for what it would be like. So let's dive into like how you can actually tangibly make $1,000, make your first, source of income as an entrepreneur, being your own boss. Um, Sort of what are your ideas on that?
Cool. Yeah. Like my idea, like we'll obviously deep dive into it, and I have a lot of notes here. But if I could say it in like one sentence, it would be do it cheaply. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and what I mean by that is like actually like go do it. Like just like bias towards action again. Go try it. Like knock down doors and see if it works or doesn't. Like if you can usually try out an idea in a weekend. And then also do it cheaply. Like don't spend money on trying out that idea. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
There's
we
so many industries. Like there's so many things you can do with like very low barrier to entry now, especially with the internet.
yeah,
Yeah.
like here's an example. I think this will help. So my friend wanted to start a dock cleaning business because we're actually on a peninsula and there's like docks all around it, right? Because boats. And he was like, "Oh, how should I start it? How should I do it?" And I was like, "Have you talked to anyone yet about it? Like any dock people?" And he didn't. So I just called three marinas, ended up getting a meeting. I didn't even like he didn't even ask me to help. I probably overstepped a bit here. But I ended up meeting with this marina who had like 156 docks. Try to get them on like a weekly contract. We quoted them. We didn't end up having insurance and do it. So I whatever. I'm gonna let him do his thing. But like I think that's kind of like the mindset to have is like, and maybe I'm wrong, but um like just go try it. Like don't like
Yeah.
stand near. Yeah. And like
Yeah.
it was free for me to call the marina, kind of explain
Right.
my business. I put together a free website. I sent it to him. He invited me there and I quoted him. Like
Yeah.
too
No,
bad.
that's awesome. It's like the best way to test the market is just to ask the market like what they need, how they need it. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And you mentioned like you did boat cleaning. Was that like what you were referencing?
No, that was completely separate. So this happened a month ago. Like I don't know why I did this. It was like this weird thing I did. My boss is like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'll be back." Um yeah, the boat cleaning and dock cleaning was completely separate.
Okay. And what was that? Was that like you were just like freelancing?
It's my very close friend. He started this Instagram page last year. And he's busy, he has a full-time job, but he's kind of telling me about it. I was like, dude, that's a great idea. I got to see if this works. So I just had to call.
Yeah. No, that's cool. It's hey, it's good experience. You're
Yeah.
getting all the different industries in here.
Yeah.
What do you see as like some of the best markets? I know you had like written down some ideas and stuff. What are some of the things that you see as like really good points of entry to start a business?
Yeah. I think I have another specific answer here. So recurring service businesses, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
like physical recurring service business. So for example, I wanted to buy my dad a lawn cleaning service for the year, so he doesn't have to cut his lawn anymore. And I wanted to buy it like it was a Netflix subscription, but I actually had to had to call around. It was like kind of the billboard problem again. I had to like call a bunch of companies, Google it, and then when you go to pay, they like send you like net 30 and then you send a check. Like it's kind of like it's like an industry where you can like add tech. Um,
Mm. Hmm.
Same thing. My friend has an awesome dog walking business. She does really well, so she doesn't even probably need this tech, but everything she does is like I guess in Canada we don't have Venmo, but it's like Venmo. It's called e-transfer.
Okay.
It's a 5 minute process, maybe like 3 minute process to like get paid.
Yeah.
And you have to do it every single time. So service businesses like that, where you like provide like a physical service, but you can make recurring revenue from it is really good.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for this is like I know a snowplow business that just sold for like over, I don't even know the number, but it's like definitely over $1 million because they have these
Wow.
contracts in place. So like say you have recurring, say you cut 10 lawns and they're on recurring, actually each one of those lawns contracts technically have this value. So you're making money, but you're also like building business value at the same time that like you
Great.
own. You can sell those contracts to another lawn care guy or a girl,
Great.
whatever.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's so true. Like it's a guarantee of future income. So that's and then like you have the relationships there, but it's not the kind of business where you have to be the one actually fulfilling on the product. So that's yeah, that's super smart. And that's also something like anybody can do. Like anybody that like has a very base level skill can call people up or go door to door or go to some kind of like a networking meeting or like a community meeting and like just meet people in the area that have need of your services, whether it's dog walking, whether it's like, I don't know. I literally know people that like they'll just like get the mail for people, like they'll walk the mail up the
Cool.
driveway. It's like
Cool.
there's so many things you can do. And then like a service based business, I think is probably like one of the best places to start because you don't need to have like a ton of money to get into that world. You're using your hands.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Lawn care might be a little tough because you need a lawnmower, but borrow one
Yeah.
from your parents
Yeah. Yeah,
or
exactly.
friend. Friend one.
Yeah. Or you use a deposit to like rent one for your first sale and wait until you
Yeah.
like bring in some income. There's always like a way around it.
Exactly.
I think like the barrier to entry in like just about every industry has gotten a lot lower recently. So, which is cool. Like there's more opportunity for people that just want to get started, whether it's, like you have to use a credit card or something, or it's just like not that expensive. Like I was telling you about Sean who did a copywriting class. Like he went through exactly how to start making income with literally no money put in. Like you can go on Upwork, you can go on Fiverr if you have like an online based service that you're offering. So it's really exciting to see that.
Cool. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Sean's a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. So words of wisdom to people that are like starting to, so let's say they figured out what service they're going to offer. Like now they're starting to try and make sales. They're starting to build relationships. What's kind of like some baseline skills they should be focusing on developing?
Yeah. I think really maintaining and like almost growing their business with their current customers. Like I think one thing I made a mistake of is always trying to get more customers, but you have these customers, like just focus on them for a bit, really get to know them, know their needs, see where you can like add more value or grow your business within that. And maybe they have essentially you want to get to a point where it grows organically and people are telling their friends. That's in that YouTube video that I stole that from. But I really do think that like your product or service should be so good that they're telling their friends and you're just referrals. Like you should like stop doing sales technically.
Yeah.
Which is like maybe kind of bad advice because you should always do sales. But yeah, that's probably my words of wisdom. If you already have some customers, like be really grateful for them, talk to them, and like don't forget about them. Like almost check in once a week.
Hmm. Start
Like
to build like a relationship outside of just business. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. For
That's
sure.
like the same mentality as like Alex Hermosi with his book. Like he always talked about like I was listening to his podcast yesterday and he was saying how he could have spent like a year writing a decent book and then spent the rest of his life having to market the decent book.
Mhm.
Or what he did was he spent 5 years writing this book. He spent 6 hours a day writing and rewriting it and wrote such a phenomenal book that the book sells itself. So he doesn't have to focus all of his time on selling it and marketing it because word of mouth, like everyone that reads his book is referring it to like 10 of their friends.
Yeah.
So like for example, I'm literally talking about his book right now on a
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly.
Really
It's
genuinely
working.
that, yeah. And it's like
Cool.
it's really cool to see. You see like all these people like you could go on like Amazon and search up a book on like how to market a book, and that book might only have like 5 reviews. It's like,
Yeah.
well, maybe that's not the best place to learn how to market a book is a book that's not actually selling itself. But you
Yeah.
look at like someone like Alex Ramosi and you can